We are live. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Massive show in store for you tonight. Carter, the Power Bryant, joins us at 7:30. We'll kick around some LSU football as Jayden Daniels making a lot of waves nationally today, doing an exclusive interview, the first real on paper exclusive interview that Jayden Daniels has done. We'll break that down. What did he say? Why did he return? What does it mean for LSU and his growth and development? Obviously, we're talking some LSU baseball of the collapse. I am tired of hearing, oh, we have arms down. Well, you know what, Buttercup? So does Arkansas. Arkansas has 5 arms down from this season. It happens. Can they fix it? We go to our former college pitcher, Matt Trent, at 7:50 to discuss that as well. At some point, you just got to pull it a little bit together. No room to panic. You know, I saw a lot of people today. I asked you if you hit the panic button. A lot of you have said yes. The people who did not say anything just sat there like a bump on the log and was like, oh, well, no need to panic. Can you go to Georgia and take 2 or 3 from the Bulldogs? But I don't know if the Bulldogs are really worried about baseball at the current moment, as they got a commitment from the number 1 overall player and the number 1 overall quarterback in the country, that being Dylan Raiola. The ACC had meetings today. We'll also touch on those, as it looks like some of those teams, the ones that are calling themselves the Magnificent Seven, are trying to leave the ACC. We'll touch on that at the end of the show. So a massive show to get into it with you here tonight. As always, let's do the damn thing. All right, let's get to a couple comments. Boogie season says LSU should play Texas instead of Bama every year. I mean, I guess. I mean, there's going to be no East or West. I mean, they're going to, I think you know the permanent opponents. That's just not official. Ryan says next arm man/man up. We'll see about that. Boogie Season says hashtag ask Blake, why do we have to play Bama every year and Georgia doesn't? Well, I mean, they're not playing them every year now. And I mean, it's just been look, the TV executives will never allow LSU and Alabama not to play. It's just not going to happen. ESPN is not going to take one off, if not their biggest viewed game of the year, and tell the SEC stop playing LSU and Alabama. It's just not gonna roll, because more than Georgia, LSU, more than anybody this year, there wasn't a game where LSU was not involved that did not surpass what some people believe to be immaculate ratings. So let me fix my camera. There we go. I think that's right, Zach. Huh? It looks good. Camera looks good. Okay. They're just not going to do that. They're not going to do that. Rick says Bama domination over LSU is over. I mean, I guess you could say that the domination is over. I mean, you're 2-2 against Alabama in football. They swept you in basketball, and baseball. You took what we didn't sweep them. No, 2 or 3, correct? If I'm not mistaken, 2 of 3 for them. So, yeah, I guess. Fat Boy Slim, what's up, Fat Boy? Says, what up, Big Blake? What happening, cuh? Alex Cormier says, beating Bama is more enjoyable, though. That it is. Did we sweep Bama? We swept Bama? Okay. Fat Boy Slim says, guys, stop sweating the LSU baseball team. They will be fine. Well, you'd hope so. But look, look, the bottom line is you went back-to-back weekends where your bullpen was horrendous. They weren't bad. They were horrendous. You gave up 21 earned runs on Sunday and Saturday combined. You gave up, I think it was 9 earned runs against Auburn, the bullpen that I might add. So in the last 2 weekends, on average, you're giving up 15 earned runs from your pen. That is worse than horrendous. That is unacceptable. That is not national championship level, but I don't think it's reason to panic. I think Jay is a good enough coach to make an adjustment. And I see a lot of people calling for Wes Johnson's head. I'm not even remotely doing that. At some point, you got to be able to execute high quality pitching. At some point, you got to be able to execute. He was not in here to recruit any of these guys. The guys that he's really involved with is Thatcher Hurd and Paul Skeens, and you know how that works. You know what's going on there. So, yeah. Big J. Cole says it's bad when a guy named Fat Boy is telling you to stop sweating. I guess so. Jacob Wiggins says, and lost 2 midweek games too. It's true. I'm not worried about that at the current moment. Spectrum Wellcare says Wes Johnson pitch calling for relievers is questionable. Well, here's the question. They're shaking it off. Nate Ackenhausen shaked off Wes Johnson and then gave up 2 earned runs. He got blasted. If I'm Wes, no, you're not shaking me off until you can prove to me that you can throw a ball past somebody, a fastball that is. No, you're not shaking me off. You're just not. All right, a couple more before we get rolling. Jamie Brady, what's up, Jamie? Says, how many of this year's pitchers do you think will be on the roster? Well, you got a lot of them hurt. Appleby's hurt. Edwards, Shores, Taylor. So you have a good many. But you got a Newt. But you can't. I'm not throwing Newton there because you haven't seen him pitch in the SEC before. Yeah. Blaine Smith says need 2 starters and 3 relievers in portal next year. Well, you need more than that. You need to go get as many guys that can throw strikes. Boogie Season says in 2 to 3 years, Justin Jefferson will request a trade to the Cincinnati Bengals. That would be pretty lit. Zachy is in the building with us. He says it's still an arm, Mr. Blank. It's still an arm, Mr. Blank. It's true. He's not lying. One that could throw upwards of 99 miles per hour. Let me say this before we get rolling, though. If you want to read an absolutely crazy developing story, St. Tammany Parish or St. Tammany baseball coaching carousel continues to spin. This coming from Herb Gomez as first-year Lakeshore baseball head coach Boomer Nunez. So for all of you on the North Shore up there in St. Tammany, Boomer Nunez is fired after the school's first runner-up. Well, apparently there was a situation where some of the players went to a hotel with some girls. Then the administration told them to go back, that they can't play in the state championship or something like that. Then told them that they were going to go back. So what is up in Lakeshore with Boomer Nunez? Huh? I'm not trying to trash on my guy, but, man, we got to do something with that chin strap, brother. We got to do something with that chin strap. And that chin strap looks like you're back from, wearing, what was that, affliction shirts. Can't be doing it. Not me. St. Tammany, why y'all keep firing coaches? Why do you keep ratting on all your coaches and then saying, oh, this coach is doing that, and then you don't have no proof and getting sued and losing? Anyway, all right. Enough about high school athletics. But Lakeshore getting the business. You can't have chin straps like that, man. If you got a chin strap that goes just on your chin and then gets thinned up to your side, your sideburns. No, no, sir. Listen, white people, listen to me. White people don't have chin straps that go around your chin and they get thin up to your sideburns. You look like idiots. All right. Fat boy up in the building says, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Let's do that. Let's do it. He told us to do it, so let's do it. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to all of those social media groups. Share to all of your social media pages. If you're listening to us on Facebook, like, share to all those groups. Share to all of your social media pages. If you're listening to us on YouTube, pushing the 6,000 now. Okay. Loving the subscribers, loving the subscriptions. Do us a favor by hitting that subscribe and notification bell. If you're listening to us on the TuneIn app, Sirius XM, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe as well. And now on most smart TVs, we'll have some big news coming up in the next couple of weeks. As we've been telling you, we'll give you all those details within the next couple of weeks. All right. So how about our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons and our good friends over at BetOnline? Don't touch that dial tone. Don't panic. Jane Daniels making a Heisman run? Talk about that next. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. With over 65 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to service in your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. If you break down the side of the road in the greater Baton Rouge area, they will come and get you. And the best thing about that is that they can come and get you, and then they can bring your vehicle back to their shop and start the repairs right then. Again, GM Varno & Sons, go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard. Give them a call at 225-664-9992, 225-664-9992. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino sent you on by. Yeah, I shouldn't have said anything about the white man chin straps. Go ahead and put it back up there, Pooh. He says, yo, grandmama used Magic Shave. Hey, you're old. Like, Zach probably has no idea. Producer Zach has no idea what Magic Shave is. But for all of us who grew up from the 99 to the 2000s, all know what Magic Shave is. Got the whole house smelling like sulfur and bacon. Hey, very quickly before we get into this, one time my grandmama, Italian grandmother at that, literally had some of the magic, is what she called it, the Magic Shave. And listen, I was up in grandma's house on Thanksgiving morning, hanging out with my grandfather, and I walked off in there and said, Nana, you cooking bacon up in this thing? So, for all of you who have been born from the 99 to the 2000s, y'all know what that Magic Shave does. God bless it. I did not think that Magic Shave would be the thing that made me lose it today, but nevertheless, it is. Chris H says, hey, Blake, how do you touch that dial tone? I'm just saying that. You know what I mean. But you're right, Chris. You're right. Clay Phillips, big Vandy fan, says, hey, Blake, huge weekend for our teams. Anchor down. Yes, look, Arkansas has Vandy this weekend. Vandy needs to pull off what some believe right now to be a little bit of an upset, but they obviously can do it. So listen, we're going to have Matt Trent here at about 7:50. So we're gonna talk a little baseball. We talked a lot of baseball last night. just want to touch on it again. Now that we have a full day to recoup and think about what happened, let's talk about it. Okay. And then I really need to go on this segment about Jaden Daniels, about him getting a lot of national recognition over the last probably 48 to 72 hours, as really and truthfully. And I told you this, guys, last week. We start on May 10th every year. We start breaking down SEC teams. We'll do that tonight when we go around your SEC. We'll talk about Georgia a little bit here tonight. But in reference to LSU baseball, man, look, I don't know necessarily how you feel, but this is how I feel, okay? I am not hitting the panic button. Even though last night you needed to take out your frustration, it's not time to hit the panic button. You still have national championship aspirations. You can win it. Or at minimum, you can make a pretty deep push. Here's the issue. And something that Jay's going to have to find out, not in the coming weeks, not, in a month. He's got to figure this out now. Guys, it feels like baseball season literally started 2 weeks ago. It's flown by. You just can't be in a scenario or situation where you have a game where Guidry, 3, Little, 4, that's 7, Money gives up 1, that's 8, Ackenhausen gives up 2 on runs, that's 10, Collins gives up 2, that's 12, and Cooper gives up an earned run. You cannot give up 13 earned runs in one game from your bullpen. It can't happen. Jay's got to figure it out. I know what you're saying. You're not wrong. It is a double-edged sword. You have guys like Appleby, Newt, Taylor, Edwards, Shores, all not in this lineup. The problem with that is a lot of teams in their bullpen have injuries. A lot of them have injuries. It's not an excuse anymore. It is not an excuse. You should not be at LSU if you're going to give up 13 runs. The biggest blown lead in Alex Box history. By the way, guys, I don't know if y'all know that, but yesterday was the biggest blown lead in the stadium's history. It can't happen. I don't know what Jay's thoughts or philosophy will be. He's kind of kept it a little bit close to the vest, but I don't even know if he knows at the current moment. You're going to have to ride 4 or 5 guys out of the pen, and all weekend long, all series long, all regional, super, and Omaha, you're going to have to go to them over and over and over and over again. And pray to God, if you got to go to somebody, they can get you out of a jam. I'm not done with Thatcher Hurd. Kind of wanted to see him again on Sunday. How does he rebound for giving up 5 earned runs on Saturday? You're going to have to need him. Javen Coleman, throw him in there. Throw him in there. If Javen Coleman can give you 2 2/3 innings, keep him in there. I know that he's coming off a very significant injury, but he's thrown more than enough innings. I know that you got to keep him on somewhat of a pitch count. Can he go to 75 pitches? Can he get you to 4, 5, God bless it, 6 innings? You got to get innings. You got to get outs. It doesn't matter how you're doing it. Be aggressive. Throw strikes. Because it doesn't really matter at this point. No matter if they're hitting it off of you or you're creating walks, you're getting errors, it doesn't matter. Throw strikes, and if they hit it, they hit it. A lot of people have been asking, why haven't I said anything about LSU pitching coach Wes Johnson? Well, the truth will continue to remain. I don't think this is all on Wes. You got to go out there and execute. At some point, you have to go out there and execute. Now, you can't say that coaching is not a massive factor. It is and always will be a massive factor. It always has and will be. But I'm not calling for a set, not even remotely close. It wasn't even in my thought process when we did the show last night. You got to go out there and execute pitches. Look, Blake Money has given up 3 earned runs in the last 5 or 4 SEC appearances that he has. Roll him out there. I know, you know, your grandmama knows with her magic shave. Everybody knows that he's going to give up a long one. So what? So what? You can't have situations where when Thatcher Hurd comes in and Christian Little, the two transfers, come in and combined give up 9 earned runs in a weekend. Cannot happen. It just can't happen. I know you get a little panicky when Griffin Herrick has a balk and a run scores. So what? Like we mentioned last night, there's no real reason to take out Blake Money or Griffin Herring last night. None. And we talked about that at length. It stinks. But here is the good thing. Here's the good thing. You want to find out who you are? You want to find out what this team is made of? You'll see it this weekend. You'll see it this weekend. What is this team ultimately made of? Because when your back's up against the wall, are you going to be a Chihuahua or are you going to be a pit bull? You got to come out this corner fighting. And you could say, well, Blake, they're still the number 5 team in the country. LSU, per D1 Baseball, is ranked the number 5 team in the country, staring a top national 8 seed in the face. You got to win this weekend. You take 2 of 3 this weekend, I would make a massive bet that you, at worst, are going to be the number 8 overall national seed. At worst. You want to find out what this team has. You want to find out what this team can do. It's this weekend. Forget the game tomorrow. Forget it. The midweek versus McNeese means jack diddly squizzot to me. Means nothing. What are you going to do this weekend in retaliation to losing your last 2 SEC series? Now, we've talked about Auburn being the hottest team in the country. They legitimately are the hottest team in the country. I will give you losing the series to them. There's not even a chance in blue Rudy Poo hell that I am giving you a series loss to Mississippi State. At what point are you going to look yourself in the mirror and say, let's go get it? You have dudes and you have dogs, like the X-ray meme with the dog, with the pit bull at the heart. You got dogs on this team. I consider Gavin Dugas, who, again, should not have been in a situation where he needs to be pitch hit for, and he shouldn't have been. Dugas, Cruz, White, Morgan, Travinsky, Milazzo, Beloso, Skeens, Floyd. They all got that dog in them. Thompson, as much as some of you hate him. Who in that bullpen has that dog in him? It's time to show up because Grant Taylor, Chase Shores, Newt, Appleby, doesn't matter. 2 for 20 at Applebee's. He's not showing up. Nobody's showing back up. Guidry, no one's walking through that door. What do you have? If you lose, you lose. If you lose, you lose. Go down swinging. Give it everything you got. Because right now, you are not executing at a high level. You're not executing at an average level. Some AYS listeners would say you're executing at a Rudy Poo level. And I agree. It's time to put up or shut up. There's no other explanations. There is no, this matchup makes sense. Rudy Poo. Oh, well, Mr. Blake, they're taking their game 1 starter and moving them to Saturday because they don't want to lose against Skeens. I don't care. It doesn't matter who you throw at Skeens. He's going to light your ass up. He's going to light your ass up. He's going to serve you up like his name's Chef Boyardee. Doesn't matter. Who has the fight in them to get you, let's call it what it is. It's the biggest series of the year. It's not the biggest series you will play all year. It's the biggest series of the year you have right now. Tennessee, Kentucky, Bama, Arkansas, doesn't matter. You have the ability, you have the talent to go kick the ever-living shizite out of any team in the country. Go do it. You know, it's kind of funny because about 6 months ago, whatever it was, when was November? November, December, January, February, March, April, May. So 7 months ago, I came on this very show, and I remember it like it was yesterday. I said something like this. I went back and listened. This is per quote. Everybody has come out and said that LSU does not deserve to be the number 10 team in the country the week that they played Alabama. And my big old ass came out on this show and said the following. It's not for TV ratings. If you think LSU can't go into this game and beat Alabama in Death Valley, you're crazy. Even though Brian Kelly does not have a win over Nick Saban. And what did we see? You know who are some guys that had dog in them that day? Emory, Daniels, Taylor, Perkins, Ojolari, Jared Bernard Converse, Brian Kelly for going for 2 in overtime and executing. Who has the fight in them that when push comes to shove, you have Ty Floyd's back. You have Paul Skeens' back. Time to grow up. Because Jay can't execute things for you. He's gotten you this far. It's time for you to provide Jay a little relief. All right. Let's get to a couple comments. Freddie says, stop crying. Well, Freddie, you can, I don't know if this is directed towards me or not. You can leave if you don't like it. You can leave if you don't like it. But there has not, Freddie, let me just tell you this. Before you leave, Freddie, giving up 13 unearned runs, 30 total earned runs from your bullpen over the last 2 weekends. It's not crying. It's straight up facts. It's not my opinion. These are not my opinions. These are facts. All right. Pooh Bear said Chihuahuas are the meanest breed of dogs. That's true now. Pits are naturally sweet, but you get the reference. I mean, nobody puts a Chihuahua in the meme and says they got that dog in them. They might say they got the magic shade. Oh, God. All right, let me say this before Carter Bryant. Let's transition very quickly because Carter Bryant's joining us at 7:30. That's the sound that Jane Daniels is going to hear next April. If you missed it, Pro Football Focus did an exclusive sit-down written interview with your starting quarterback, Jane Daniels. Now, I know a lot of you probably haven't read or seen a lot of this stuff. It was interesting. Jane Daniels came back and said a lot of things specifically about coming back to LSU and what he wants to accomplish. He said the first thing that he wants is to win a championship. I came back because we talked about we have unfinished business. Who's the we? Who is the we in this scenario? Well, you obviously know who it is. him, the offense, guys defensively, you know who we is. It's interesting. We discussed it. Jane Daniels is getting a lot of publicity over the last couple of days and maybe about a week. Can he be a national championship quarterback? Can he be a Heisman Trophy candidate? I don't really care for him, the accolades. And it's something that I know that we've mentioned. I don't care about all of that. You know what I care about is I've seen him working out and gaining weight. I've seen him starting to force the ball down the field. I've seen many things. Can he execute it? We'll see. All right. Looks like we have some breaking news, though. Looks like we have some breaking news. Let me see. No. Hold on. Guys, before we get to Carter, I know you probably see the comment in the chat. I don't see it yet. Maybe I am wrong, but I have not seen it. Is that official? Is that official? Apparently, they went live with it. All right. So let's do this. Let's get to a commercial break. Let's get to our good friend Carter, the Power Bryant. We'll be back. Let's talk about Carol Falls and our good friends over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. We're back in a couple minutes. Stay tuned. Guys, you might know my good friend Carol Falls and all the great service that he provides over at State Farm. He is your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates as well? Along with a great neighbor service, State Farm agent Carol Falls has surprisingly great rates for everyone inside the state of Louisiana. So call him today at 985-395-4300, 985-395-4300 for all of those surprisingly great rates on auto, home, and life insurance needs. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to the State Farm underwriting requirements. By the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Whether you've been injured in an accident, you're preparing for a future with your estate planning, you're getting ready to close in on a real estate deal, or you're about to welcome a new addition through adoption into your family, or you're facing criminal charges, you need very experienced attorneys, and that is what the Drake Williams Law Firm will be able to do for you in navigating the legal system. The door to their cozy office in historic downtown Ponchatoula has been open since 1981. They have helped thousands and thousands of Louisiana families and individuals win cases, close on real estate deals, and regain that peace of mind. Their lawyers over at the Drake Williams Law Firm, Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vicnair, are very determined, compassionate, and dedicated to their craft. It's the Drake Williams Law Firm, drakewilliamslawfirm.com. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. Tell them your good friend Blake Ruffino at AYS sent you on by. Carter, the Power Bryant. I don't know if this is confirmed yet or not, but Juwan Johnson allegedly has committed to LSU.
Let's go, Blake. Are you kidding me? Could the news have broken any better right before I jump on with my absolute BFF in all of LSU media? We get a commitment. How about that, Blake? That's some good stuff right there. Look, it's timing. It's God, man. That's all it is. It's God, baby. Let's go. Huh?
Well, it would be a massive addition. The only question I have, and you know that I've always said this isn't anything new to him. I do question guys that are athletes making that transition from an offensive weapon to a defensive weapon. Not so much like a Harold Perkins, but especially a corner. I guess when you look at him, when you see his game, what do you think about Juwan Johnson?
Yeah, there's going to be a massive leap from doing what he did at LCA, which is where, for the most part, Blake, he has been a quarterback who just goes out there and wins games, right? Put the football in his hands, and he's going to go out there and decide it for you. So, athletically, with the ball in his hands, he's very good. And honestly, Blake, I know that they are the same high school and they're not the same level of prospect, but this is going to be Sage Ryan all over again, because Sage Ryan at LCA was very similar. It was, yeah, he played some defense, but his main role at LCA was to put the football in his hands as much as you possibly can and go out there and win the game. So, yes, I am always happy when you get a top 10 player in the state of Louisiana to commit. And look, you know this better than me, Blake. You gotta, put a fence around the state, and you didn't want Deion Primetime Sanders setting up shop, especially considering there is some heavy influence from LSU on that staff. So,
Right.
take that away from, your thoughts on Juwan Johnson as a player. There's quite a few of you that probably haven't seen him play at all. I've personally not watched a ton of him, but just from a pure recruiting standpoint, Corey Phillips, who used to be at LSU, is at Colorado. And Corey's a really talented staffer. You didn't want him setting up shop there. So obviously, it's a really good thing from a recruiting standpoint. So good job, everyone at LSU, getting this guy back on board. And once he decommitted, Blake, from Colorado, you're really plugged in. You know this. It was LSU pretty much all the way. So good news, and LSU will continue cooking, baby. 2024. Let's go.
Well, I do think that this starts a little bit of a run for them if they
Yeah.
can start getting some of these in-state guys. Look, you've gotten Trey Green. You're really trying to get Dominic McKinley and others to lock into the state. You got probably what I believe as is the best safety right now in Deshaun McBride. And look, this staff, I'm just telling you, talking to people around the program, sources around the program, I feel really good for a guy like Tyler Singleton, also from Manning, Louisiana. Carter, if they start taking and really, I mean, because that would be locking the state down, right? Like Brian Kelly didn't really have a good chance with the Will Campbell class. This class, what can he do with the quarterbacks? I still think he got the best athletes. A top 5 class is a top 5 class. And now when you really start getting all these guys from inside the state of Louisiana, it's just a massive deal that you're able to just lock the state down, and Saban and other coaches can't come in here. I think it's a massive win.
Yeah, it is. And there is just a prevalent narrative about this class, Blake. This popped up on my live stream, and we had a debate about this last night. But look, everyone feels this 2024 crop in Louisiana just isn't as good in years past. I'm sure you've heard, basically.
It's not the 2025 class in Louisiana. I'll just tell you that right now. It's not remotely close.
Right, with Harlem Berry and all those guys, right? But look, who cares? Not every class needs to have the absolute most unbelievable players.
Let me stop you right there, because me and you, actually, you started all this, but like Saturday Down South, okay, that whole thing that they, Vern Focus and those Rudy Poos. So, and you're a freaking Rudy Poo. You can, buddy, you don't have 5,000 followers and you work for Saturday Down South. We have 20,000 and we're brand new. Anyway, it doesn't matter, okay? When you're able to have classes like Orgeron and none of those guys pan out, and now you're starting to see some of these guys that Brian Kelly's hitting on are already panning out. Like it's a massive deal, right? So now that Brian Kelly is into his full second class here, okay, I do think it's a massive deal that he's locking a lot of these guys down. Look, Frank Wilson, Coach Lindsey, a lot of these guys have been going all around the state. They're not missing a high school. I was told by a source they have not missed a high school inside the state of Louisiana. Not because you might not have a prospect now, but in the future, you will. I think that that's a massive thing. So something to pay attention to. Let me ask you this. Did you see all this stuff over the last week or so with Jaden Daniels and Pro Football Focus? They really like him as a returning quarterback. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so he did the interview today. I heard you citing it. I'm going to be honest, I didn't read it. I elected to do a film study on the tight end kid, the Connor Gilbreth.
Hold on to that.
Yeah,
We're going there next.
But Pro Football Focus likes Jaden. They have posted a lot of tweets about his unbelievable rushing ability. And I think people sometimes mistake how elite of a runner he is, right? All the missed tackles, all the explosive runs, and what LSU is able to do with split zone, right? There's so many different things that Jaden does. And I went back and I rewatched the Alabama game, Blake, and you could just see the influence that the guy has on just every defensive game plan that he faces. And yeah, it's obviously really good stuff. If you see Pro Football Focus really pushing him. And another player that Pro Football Focus has really put out there is Malik Neighbors.
But they put him at 7.
Right, which kind of juxtaposes some of the stats that he was one of the best ball
carriers. They had 2 guys that they put ahead of him that didn't have 1,000 yards total.
Right, and that was so fascinating to me is Malik and Jaden both last year were really good at breaking tackles, right? Normally that's a stat you just associate with running backs. But honestly, Joe, Jamar, and Justin in 2019, they were really good at that too, right? And when I get a lot of questions about this, Blake, as far as, film studies and all of that. Look, I am not Bill Belichick. I'm not anybody that has this massive football mind. But one thing that is consistently difficult to do at any level of football is breaking tackles. It is really hard to do that. And Jaden and Malik Neighbors and the LSU running backs last year were really good at that. I don't know exactly what it was. I have a lot of theories as to why. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. It could be strength and conditioning. It could be the design of the offense. But honestly, a lot of it's just will. A lot of it is just ability. I'm going to make you miss and gain extra yards. Josh got really good at it. Noah had some really good runs at the end of the year, breaking tackles, which was stuff that they did not do previously at their previous stops or previous in their career. So, when I go back and I rewatch these games, what I want people to do, and just specifically do this, see how many tackles LSU broke last year. And it was a drastic increase from the LSU offense from years prior.
What's interesting about that, like you forget about the Josh Williams run. I know that we talked about that against Alabama multiple, but you know what so I talked to a SEC coach, who he is. I know that I think I've sent you some texts before that we go, and he sends me this about Jaden. Yeah. He said, do you remember the throw that he had against Alabama to Mason Taylor, the corner route? He goes, Blake, it's not necessarily a great read. What he's doing is he's really what everybody wants him to do is if he starts doing stuff like that, like what he did in the spring game, he virtually is unstoppable. That same coach, which, comes from a long line of GOATs, also said it's the Lamar Jackson effect in a sense, right? Yeah. And I don't want to put those 2 guys together, but their games are so comparable. Okay. Yeah. So I do. When the MVP season for Lamar, what did he do? He threw the ball down the field at a high level and trusted his guys. But he also has a potential Hall of Fame tight end, so we'll see. All right, something that's interesting that I want to get to back with recruiting. I know we talked about Juwan Johnson committing, but Connor Galbraith, tight end, offensive tackle, wants to block. I mean,
it's weird.
JUCO kid. Let me tell you what this feels like to me. You ready?
Let's hear it.
It feels like to me that they know that they found a diamond in a rough and are going to take a shot on it. Am I wrong here?
No, you're not, and it's worth it. Like I released.
Why is it worth it? You don't run 14 personnel a lot,
right? So I released a full film study on it earlier. So if people want to watch it, and I said at the beginning, this might not translate at all, but here's one thing about transfer portal data is it is harder to find tight ends. It is harder to find offensive linemen. It's worth taking risk at that position. You can be a little bit more selective at skill guys because skill guys on both sides, offensively and defensively, there is a higher number of those guys that enter the portal. So, yes, it is very strange. Boot football in Northern California, way up there. It's not something that just screams SEC, and there is going to be a massive leap. And I do think it would be a massive leap for him in his current state to be a future SEC offensive tackle, but it's worth it. And his blocking form, the way he moves his feet, the tenacity, all the little things that you look for stylistically, he does have that in his arsenal. And if he is someone that is here hungry to block, the truth is, Blake, tight ends is the position needs a revolution when it comes to what we call tight ends, right? So let's say Dalton Kincaid, if you will, the first round tight end out of Utah that went to the Bills. He is getting drafted to play slot receiver. He's not getting drafted to be a do all everything tight end, right? This guy is not Dalton Kincaid. This guy isn't Kamarion Pimpton or Jackson Gohan. This guy is a blocking tight end. Think Colin Jeter, Dylan Gordon, who may one day be able to occasionally give you something as a receiver. But one thing that's really good about that position is it gives you some value on special teams as well, as an up man on a punt team or an edge guy on a field goal team. And last year, when LSU wanted to get heavy and run these heavy tight end sets, they were converting offensive tackles into tight ends. Marcus Dumerville would have to put on the number 81 uniform and play tight end. Denbrock, that's who he is. He's a tight ends coach. He loves the position. So I think it's worth it. I understand he looks a little awkward as well because he doesn't do, Blake, the wrist tape or the sleeves. He's barehanded. He's old school, and I like it. And I think bringing someone with that kind of tenacity as a blocker would be very nice for this room.
Jeremy Hyde said, "Future is bright, Blake," with a $4.99 super chat. He says, hashtag, but Kelly can't recruit. It's interesting, man. This class is getting pretty good. They're going to be in the top 5. And you know what's crazy, Carter, and I know this is going to sound petty from me, but I'm old enough to remember 2 years ago where everybody said LSU was drastically behind in NIL.
Yeah, absolutely. And look,
Carter, they weren't. They never were. They had to get things in place. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. And the truth is, if you thought LSU was paying money underneath the table, what made you think that NIL would stop things? That's always been a thing. So, yes, I'm going to ride a little bit of the petty train on that. They were never behind. They just maybe were setting things up that you didn't know about. Let me ask you this, Logan Diggs. I don't know if you saw this weekend, but we posted a picture of Logan Diggs who's holding the Heisman Trophy of Joe Burrow. Carter, what do you make of the entire damn near all the starters that aren't in Africa, I might add?
Yeah.
All the starters offensively, Jaden Daniels included, quote tweeting that and giving the home emoji and saying stay home. What do you make of all that? And what do you think what is Logan Diggs' role on this team, do you believe?
Yeah, first thing, I am very happy that BK opened himself up for the study abroad thing. I just wanted to point that out. Travel while you can. Travel while you have the budget to do so. Going out of the country will change. Those 13 players and staffers and everything, their lives are forever going to be changed by getting
no doubt.
So yeah, it's really cool. And then also, yeah, Logan Diggs, he could do a little bit of everything. He could block. His pass protection's honestly pretty good. And look, Blake, you saw Jaden Daniels retweet you, man. That's a big deal. So shout out to you.
Well, this is what it tells me.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I know it might be a little coach pushed, because Frank Wilson's involved here.
Yeah.
And Sherman Wilson's also been involved here. But let me just tell you, this ain't all coach pushed.
No.
This is your quarterback. Let me tell you what it is. This is your quarterback sending that text and saying, quote tweet it. Like, let him know that we need him. And what's interesting is, did you read the Wilson Alexander from the Advocate? Did you read his story in reference to Armani Goodwin having a step back in the rehab? And that's from Brian Kelly. And then you have another scenario where you don't know John Emery's status. So with those two things, okay, I mean, Logan Diggs might be more than just a contributor, buddy. He might play. He's going to be the rotation of the two. So,
yeah, and I've heard all different things. I don't know what all. I mean, I've heard South Carolina. I've heard everybody. It seems like I feel pretty good about this. I hope it happens, but I will back up what you said. You don't really see like full player pushes like this too often, especially recently.
no, you know who they came with? Jaylen Brown, Taviano,
Right.
and Shelton Sampson.
Right.
Okay. So now it's big on Logan Diggs.
And look, I really hope this happens. I like Logan a lot. I really do. I mean, he just does a little bit of everything well. He's not going to reinvent the wheel. You're not going to think you're looking at anybody like truly spectacular, but he's good. He's a really, really good,
What is
reliable.
Here's what I don't understand, Carter. And last thing I'll get.
Yeah.
Here's what I don't understand. What does he hurt you? Him being in that room, how does that hurt you? Carter's got 2 years. Logan Diggs being an LSU running back doesn't hurt you.
Doesn't at all. And look,
you know what it gives you the confidence to do? Cut John Emery loose if you need to.
Yeah, and look, I wish nothing but the best for everyone, but it does bring that up into the equation. And something else. I want to say this one final thing as far as like 2024 is considered. Big news with Georgia today. I know you saw that right earlier.
Yes.
I'm so happy that LSU's got their 2024 quarterback already done. Right. Like I'm just going to give you a little.
Yeah, Carter, there's not a lot out there in this class to where you can go and get.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to bring up, right? Is recruiting quarterbacks is a different thing. They commit earlier, and just behind the scenes, it does make things a little bit easier on the staffers, right? Because now that you got your guy for 2024 reclassified, you're able to move to 2025 and hopefully get your dart throw there. Bryce Underwood, the 5-star who's visited, and I'm hearing good things about that. Once again, fingers crossed on that, but it does make things a little easier on staff because now they can divert their focus on everything else, right?
Right.
Wanted to get that out there because, everyone was so focused on Raiola, and you can have your opinion about Colin Hurley. I know, Colin's been on both of our channels. We love him, but he's good. He's good. I had one independent evaluator who I trust a lot, works in dynasty, fantasy football, Devy kind of stuff, high volume leagues. He's a big drafter. He moved Colin Hurley into his top 5.
I saw that.
And it was very, very interesting. So yeah. And that guy doesn't have any biases. So I really like that he's already on board and we're able to work for 2025 QBs and work for all the other positions in 2024. Boom.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, buddy. Cheers.
I think I might ask you to come back on like on a Thursday night or Friday. Maybe we can do something. But we need to get a full hour because I hear some things are coming.
Oh, they're coming? They're coming?
That's what she said. See you next week.
Peace. Oh yeah, the real GOAT right here. See that?
Who is that? LeBron? All right, let's get to our good friend Matt Trent, former collegiate pitcher Matt Trent. So about our good friends over at betonline.ag. We're back in 30 seconds. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first to market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag. We're back. Hello, Matthew. So it was that stressful. LSU baseball was that stressful for you this weekend with your Navy shirt on? Cheers. Was that stressful? What part of it was it stressful, Matt? Was it the 20 earn run plus earn runs that you gave up this weekend? What part of it was stressful for you?
The part where the LSU starter goes out and then pitchers come in afterwards. That's the stressful part right now.
I'll give you a hint of what they call that. It's got horns. You put hogs in a pen. Bullpen.
Well,
Matt, as a former collegiate pitcher, what is my man over here making a pizza? Like, do we need to call the police? I mean, is he okay over here? Can I tell you how great it is that I literally just said, is this man like going to get it, pulling out a pizza? And it actually happened. This is how our friendship works.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. What were you saying? I'm sorry. I'm trying to just drown my sorrows in covering the last 2 weekends of LSU baseball.
I'm not mad at Auburn. I'm not mad at Auburn, Matt. I'm really not. You're talking about probably and arguably the hottest team in college baseball, right? They've won 5 of their last 6 SEC series.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, which I think it was so funny. Yeah, I'm with you. I am not getting all worked up about Auburn like I am about Mississippi State.
But this one, man, come on.
And I know that, like, I know Jay looks at things differently than all of us, media, fans, everybody. Obviously, that's why he's had the career that he's had. And he said this week, he was like, guys, I'm telling you, like, don't sleep on Mississippi State. When I watch them, they're a quality SEC baseball team. I'm sorry, that was horseshit. Like, I'm sorry, that was not a good baseball team. I'm sorry, like that. And the thing was, on Sunday, Dakota Jordan, who hit that absolute missile off of Blake Money, I think it was. Christian Little.
Christian Little. Yeah, Christian Little.
Hit that absolute missile. That dude had been put in a blender all weekend up to that point. I want to say
he struck out 7 times.
I was getting ready to say he had struck out 7 times up to that point. Like, dude couldn't find a hit with a damn map. And he hits an absolute missile, pimps it, and I go, there's your weekend right there. There it is. A team that comes in that's last in the SEC, 2 years removed from winning a national championship. They have literally one of the worst pitching staffs and worst lineups in the conference. And they come out here, not only blister based, but that's the thing too, is like, this is what I said Sunday when they were up 13-4. I was like, well, you know what? I think the key to LSU winning this series is getting to a bullpen that's worse than theirs. And that was the case because look,
for you were the reason LSU lost. You jinxed them.
Well, maybe, but Blake, let's like,
well, maybe
let's call it how it is. Let's not act like Mississippi State's bullpen was out there lighting the world on fire either.
No, Matt.
let's not act like they were rolling dudes out there that were shutting LSU down. Okay.
Well, and so here's the argument. The argument I'm facing like I did an emergency show yesterday. And let me tell you, you know what? Blake, they got hurt. Everybody's hurt. And then, Matt, this is what I do. You know, I do this every Monday. I go and look at the Sunday game for Arkansas and South Carolina. You know what the guy who calls the game, you know what the first thing he said? Well, this has been an awesome weekend for Arkansas that has 4 of their guys from the bullpen out.
And a weekend guy too, right?
In a weekend, Matt, they threw their best reliever, the second lefty. He started on Sunday and shoved.
Yeah.
Hasn't made a start. Shoved.
Yeah.
Listen, I love Jay. You love Jay. Okay? This is unacceptable, Matthew.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing why it's more frustrating this year than it was last year. Last year, you did not have the dudes to win a regional.
No, right.
You did not have the dudes to win an SEC title. That is just plain and simple. You just didn't. Okay. This year, even right now, I'm talking purely pedigree. I'm talking purely what people have done from before this season, and I'm talking talent. You've got enough right now to win the SEC, hands down.
I don't disagree with that.
That is the most frustrating thing is to watch. Like, even though he's been good recently, Thatcher Hurd go out and pitch like he has. Christian Little. Blake, I'll be totally honest with you. At Southeastern, when they played Southeastern, I talked to a few scouts at that game, and I point blank asked them. I said, can you tell me what is wrong with Christian Little? And they said, we have no idea. They said, we have no idea, but whatever was going on at Vanderbilt has followed him here to Baton Rouge. Now, if you noticed, I even texted you during the game. It looks like Wes Johnson has been working on him mechanically. His leg kick he was always shorter out of the stretch, obviously, but now that, that really long leg kick out of the wind up is gone. It's more shorter. It's condensed, but it's still the same result. You've got him. You've got Thatcher Hurd. Like Griffin Herring is great. I think he just runs out of gas. I think Gavin Guidry.
Like the balk call. That's not a balk.
Yeah. That's
not a balk.
I think Gavin Guidry is good. I think they're still kind of feeling out. I mean, he and Javen Coleman, I think they're still trying to see how far they can really go. Because me personally, I think you probably should have let Javen. Actually, I think you should have let Javen figure it out a little bit more, even though he was walking everybody. And I think maybe you leave Gavin in there, maybe a hitter or two more to kind of see if he can get out of it.
Matt, but here's the argument I have. Here's the argument I have with the Coleman thing. Okay, he's an out away from getting out of the inning. There's a runner on first.
Here's my problem with that.
But he calls it. But Jay said that it was a pitch count thing.
Yeah. Here's my thing. I have been totally confused by using Javen Coleman in the SEC. I've said that from the very beginning.
You said it on this show.
Now, yesterday, he made me eat my words because he was really good. He was really good. But he's on a pitch count. That's why I don't understand it. So if you're going to do that, in my opinion, don't start him. Don't start him. And I know that Ole Miss was bad. I know that he's been up and down when he comes out of the pen. But if you get that kind of performance, I don't need that in the beginning of the game because this offense can slug its way back from an early deficit.
Well, here's my argument about him, Matt. Everybody kept saying, well, he's walking everybody, but he's not missing by much. And then last night I'm talking about that, and they're like, well, how do you know? I'm like, because he had 5 strikeouts in 2 2/3 innings. That's how I know.
See, that's my thing is like, I'm fine with using him now because, again, like he has pitched really well as of late. You need to use him out of the pen because, Blake, that's another thing. We don't LSU bullpen does not have a punch out guy outside of Skeens where you can go, hey, I need 2 outs and I don't need it's 2nd and 3rd with 1 out and the game and the go ahead run is on 2nd. I need 2 punch outs right here. Go get them. Don't have that guy.
I mean, that guy in the beginning of the year was Shores, and I understand that argument from Jay. I mean,
that guy in the beginning of the year was Christian Little too.
That's true. And look, Chase was getting rocked up a little bit now. Like let's not forget about that. So
yeah, no, I agree. But I'm saying too, like you look at everything you need. You need someone to stabilize a game, which Riley Cooper did this weekend, back-to-back days, which was, positive. But other than that, you don't. You need someone in the 8th, 7th, or 8th to kind of, again, come in, set up a closer, which you don't have. Who do you have that you can say, I need you to do this, and they can go out and perform? You don't have it. You don't.
I mean, Matt, I hate to say it, but Well, and here was my argument last night too on the show. And I know you can't burn the red shirt of Moffitt, okay? But everybody's like, well, you can't do anything else. And I'm like, well, Aiden Moffitt's on the bench and he's going to every game, and Jay's made it a point to bring him to every away series. Okay,
Yeah.
so he's a part.
And that's the thing too.
Hold on one thing though. Hold on one second. Everybody keeps telling me, and Jay keeps telling me he can't throw strikes. Now he obviously sees more than I can. Okay, neither can Christian Little.
It's kind of like my varsity basketball coach when I was a sophomore and I wasn't playing a whole lot, and I was like, "Well, why am I not playing?" And he goes, "Well, you're not playing defense." I go, "We're 2-20. Nobody's playing defense." Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Like, I understand it. Like, at this point, we just got to start auditioning dudes to see if they can do it. I mean, does any position player pitch too? I mean, can Paul Skeens hit and pitch? I mean, that's
well, we know he can do that.
Where we're getting to now, because
again, I mean, you know what I would ask? I mean, because he's got an outright missile. Can Alex Milazzo throw 5 fast? I mean, because he paints cheese when he's throwing it to second anyway.
But also too, Blake, is
anybody that's taking us serious, that is an outright joke. Because some of our enemies will clip that and post it to Twitter.
Oh yeah.
It's just
Look what he said. He doesn't know baseball.
Correct. It's just a joke. Let me transition this. So I think that this is a positive. Okay, what I'm about to say, even though it's going to come off and sound negative. In 2 years, I've had one moment under Jay Johnson where I really was like, "What in the outright hell are you doing?" Right? Like. And I feel like other coaches, like my buddies, like, Ty Richardson, those guys with Dave Van Horn, they do that to him all the time, okay? Mm-hmm. When Ben Napolt came in for Gavin Dugas.
Yeah. So,
Matt, do you know that you've had 2 games this year, technically 3, in South Carolina with the Grand Slam, and Texas when you couldn't buy a hit with Gordon McKernan's money, okay? Gavin Guidry was the one that came up and delivered for you and hit a grand slam and hit the 3-run home run against Texas. By the way, their attorney team, their regional team. Mm-hmm. That's I get the logic.
Jay's logic was that you wanted to put someone in scoring position, so they had to pitch to Trey Morgan. Okay,
I'm with that. And
I get that. And then if you have to pitch to Trey Morgan or you walk him, that means you've only got one base open, and you've got to choose to pitch between Dylan Cruz and Tommy White. Well, obviously, with the way things happen, hindsight's 20/20. But the logic is sound there. I mean, it really is.
I agree with it. But here's also my question, okay? If the argument is that Gavin Dugas is going to hit into a double play, when has he done that in clutch? When has he done that? Now, I know Chad in the chat is like, well, he's hitting like 250 in the SEC. He's also hit a bomb that saved your rear end. And Matt, here's another thing. Remember the Oregon series? Remember Oregon? See, people think I'm just a football guy. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Matt, he's come up in 4 clutch situation and hit bombs. That's the problem I have there. Logic or no logic? Because regardless, with a runner on, they're going to tie the game anyway. What do you think? Trey Morgan's going to get his 3rd home run of the game? Maybe.
The logic was sound, and
well, then make the argument for Milazzo for Travinsky.
See that? Okay, so Jay did say, like, y'all, it was hot Sunday. I mean, it was. I mean, all of us media people. I was in shorts and a golf polo, and I
What
was
was
sweating my ass like I was. I wasn't doing
what was Jock wearing?
Huh? Not shorts. But no, like Jock and Chessa and me were all sitting there sweating, not doing anything. We're standing still, sweating. Okay. I actually texted Travinsky today because we're getting ready to do something with him. And he said, I texted him last night and I said, hey man, just trying to get the schedule for this week, whatever. He didn't respond. And it was at like 8:39. And then I texted him today. I was like, hey man, like, you good? He goes, yeah, I'm good. And we're working out schedule stuff. He was like, sorry, I didn't get back to you yesterday. I'm still drained from catching. Jay took him out. Like Jay, there were dudes on Mississippi State's bench that were throwing up because of the heat. And there were dudes on it.
That's fine.
I saw Mississippi State's third base coach, #CheeseBro, look into the dugout. It was actually after the balk. So the balk and the guy scores, and the dude that scored, he looks at the bench, and I saw him say, he's throwing up. He's got to throw up. Like, I saw him mouth that to the bench. And Jay said it post game. He said, guys are throwing up, heat exhaustion. They're trying to get hydrated. Dude, when you got 15, 20, 25 pounds of catching gear on in 95-degree heat with 100% humidity, you might as well be at the gates of hell. So that's why he took him out. It wasn't because of a defensive thing. Now, for me, pinch hitting somebody, I'm pinch hitting for Milazzo over Dugas all day, every day. I don't care what he did against Alabama. I don't care what he did. I'm pinch hitting.
Well, and I was wrong. It was for Beloso, but even Beloso, to me, it's just as egregious.
Yeah, but in the ninth.
Well, here would be my was my counter argument last night. I'll see if you agree. I know that Alex has had some clutch situations. Okay, but you need someone that can actually tattoo on something. Like,
well, that was going to be my point. But with Milazzo, it was bases loaded, 2 outs, if my memory correct, right?
Either base loaded or it was bases loaded.
But it was 2 outs.
Yeah, it was 2 outs. And he popped out to first, I believe.
For you. A sac fly does obviously nothing for you. But in Dugas's case, I trust
Gavin Dugas more than Ben DePaul. Now the bunt was laid down, but
in terms of, I think there is a greater possibility that Gavin Dugas will hit a deep fly ball that will have a sac fly with 1 out versus Ben DePaul giving up an out and then relying on Trey Morgan and then banking on them walking Dylan Cruz. You see what I'm saying? I just feel like the certainty is more with Gavin Dugas hitting something deep for a sac fly versus playing the numbers and the analytics and saying the matchups and going, okay, I want to do that. And I get, like I said, Jay's logic is sound. I mean, it is. It made sense. I get it. And even when I heard it for the first time, I was like, okay, like I can get behind that. Still doesn't make it right.
No, it doesn't make it right. I mean, again, look, we could be here all day talking about this, and I don't know. I mean, Matt, they got to win this weekend. I don't know what you do.
They got to. I would argue for a national seed. Obviously, Hoover is going to be added on top of that. I mean, they got
the only thing I push back on. No SEC team that's had 20 wins has not been 20 wins in the conference has not been a national seed.
I also I want to get your opinion on this.
Oh God, this means that you're going to try to what?
No, I'm just serious because I saw it and I read Glenn Gilbo's article comparing LSU to Tennessee last year. Thought it was a little unfair. The similarities are there. I get, like, I
Well, it's just specifically unfair to Tennessee.
Yeah, like I get it. You know, you're number one for 12 straight weeks, and
I don't mean this in a wrong way, but the only reason Tennessee wasn't number one more of all last year is because of people hating them. Matt, they set at number 2 for 17 weeks.
Here's my point though, is like maybe, and people are gonna look like I don't remember right off the top of my head, like outside of Ben Joyce and Dolander, I don't remember of any like top and the center fielder, short, stocky kid. I can't remember. He went in like the second or third round or whatever.
Right.
I mean, it was loaded with a lot of high end talent, and they won, you know, almost 50 games or whatever. Is it fair?
I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to Tennessee. No. Matt, I mean, I can make the argument, even though they didn't get to Omaha, I can make the argument they were the best team in baseball. I understand that they lost a super regional, but they were the best team in baseball last year. There's not one. I agree with Ben McDonald. They were the best team that we saw all year. They went up against a team that legitimately had 11 seniors. 11, Matt. Notre Dame had 11 seniors. 8 of them started. By the way, I think it was like 7 of them were 5-year guys, like red-shirted guys, right? Mm-hmm. So at the same token, that's a lot of seniors that did something. So, but to your point, me and Gilbo's come on this show. I've argued with him.
Yeah, Gilbo, he was there. He was there on Sunday.
There's no reasoning with him.
Well, look. I know that LSU fans do not hold Glenn Gilbo in the highest regard. I will give him credit. I have no opinion either way. Like, I really don't. Because I haven't been here long enough to know the lineage of Glenn Gilbo versus LSU fans. But you have to respect that man pulls up all the time. He came on your show. He comes to press conferences. He comes to games.
Well, Glenn, he ain't scared.
He is not scared. He
ain't scared.
On your ass.
He might act like a little woman sometimes, but he's not scared.
I'm all for pulling up. I'm all for it.
Thoughts on? Well, let's stick to one more to baseball. Then I want to ask you a question. Thoughts on? If this, Mac, I just don't know if this team could go through a super. So if you're lined up with a team that's deep, like they made the tournament because their pitching's really good. You can't. I don't know if you can last.
I'm anxious to see how they use Gavin Guidry and Javen Coleman. I'm really anxious to see if
Matt, who you throw tomorrow? Because you know what? The same guys that threw this weekend are going tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. But like that's the thing. That's the thing. Why
you know who I'm starting? Bucknam. You think I'm joking? Go get me as much as you can, because I need all of these dudes for the weekend. You think I'm joking? You think I'm joking? I am not joking.
No, you know what's crazy? I used to do this in college, and this is not a joke. So I would normally start on like Saturday. So let's see, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah. So Tuesday or Wednesday was sometimes a bullpen day for me. And if we had a midweek, I would just tell coach, hey, throw me in for a couple innings and I'll get my work in on a midweek game. 100%. Hey, Paul Skeens, is this your bullpen day? I want you to go out and pump 100 against McNeese and see what happens.
There's no way.
Screw it, whatever.
Jay would be fired.
That he would turn in the lineup card and they would be like, "Oh, Skeens pitching. Yeah, go ahead and clean your shit out."
I would run Bucknam and Helmers out there and say, guys, both of you have 75 pitches apiece. You're not getting pulled.
Yeah, but Blake too, like with Helmers, and you're talking about Moffitt.
Man, it doesn't matter.
I know it does. I know it doesn't matter. But if they're not throwing right now, should they throw at all?
Yeah, they threw a week ago.
I know, but
let me tell you something. And you can laugh at this all you want. Bugnum has not had. Bugnum can throw.
I think he is. I think once he gets,
Man, we were sitting right behind home plate at Southeastern, and we had two Major League Baseball scouts literally asking everybody, saying, "Hey, that kid's got a little life in him."
No, I've seen that kid a couple times. I saw him in the fall a couple times. Look, he's a sleeper. He is a sleeper because
he throws enough strikes to, if he progresses, can be dangerous.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just think at this point, and that's what I asked Jay.
Throw Helmers out there and say, give it all you got.
But here's the thing: I don't think that we give Jay enough credit sometimes, and this is tough. And I asked him this yesterday. I said, with the way everything is right now, with who you have and who you don't, and what X can do versus Y can do, what your bullpen can do, does it make it hard to manage it? You know, you really have to be tinkering and planning out and getting about 15 different scenarios, you know, in your back pocket to say, okay, if he goes 2, then I got to go here and stuff. Like Jay did, for as bad as they were last year, the bullpen, Jay did literally the best he could. And I think he's going to have to do the same thing when it comes to Georgia.
They're worse in the pen this year.
They're
worse in the pen.
When it comes to Georgia, Hoover, regional, and then, you know, TBD after, Jay is going to have to do the same thing.
Matt, you know who we miss so bad? You know who this team misses so bad? Paul Gervais.
What a guy. And it's funny, Blake, too, because I was like, so I went live yesterday after the game, and as I'm setting up to go live, Grant Taylor was walking out of the dugout, just shorts, just on his phone. And I just sat there and looked at him, and I was like, what if just he's here? Garrett Edwards, great. Chase Shore's great. But what if just Grant Taylor is there? Maybe you have obviously a better bolster.
Matt, let's call it what it is, because this was reported when he went down. He would be your second guy.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Maybe you have a better bullpen. Maybe you have a better number 2 guy.
Well, you definitely could. You imagine Skeens, Taylor, Floyd?
My God! And look, again, talking about eating my words. Ty Floyd. I'm not there yet, but I'm very much getting there of him as the number 2 guy. I mean, he shoved.
He shoved the last 2 weekends.
He shoved.
Yeah, he shoved. You know what I'm doing if I hadn't said this publicly, but I'm going to do it right now. You know what I'm doing if I'm Jay? Coach Maneri, I need some help.
I did notice Skip was there on Friday night.
All right. Be careful, because I did hear whispers.
Look, if Skip Bertman told me what to do with my sportscast and he's never anchored or reported a day in my life, I'm doing it. Like, seriously, if Skip Bertman walked up to a McDonald's
did you see who he was talking to?
I did see he was talking to Christian Little before the game.
Mm-hmm.
I did see
What is Skip seeing Christian Little to where Skip, who doesn't get around really good, goes to all the people in that dugout? Why does he go to Christian Little?
Here's what I'm going to say is, talking to some of the dudes that on the team, Skip is around all the time. He's Skip Bertman. You think he's not going to be around the program? You think he's just going to be like, oh, I'm going to take this year off and like go play golf? No. He's always around. Everybody is always asking him advice, but he does such a good job of giving unsolicited advice that you actually need, right? Like, he is that guy, because Skip is just that personality. Just saying. It's not a bad thing that Skip Bertman's talking to Christian Little.
No, not even remotely close.
Not a bad thing.
All right, last one for you. I got to get you out of here because we're coming up on the hard TV or hard break. Brian Kelly just got another recruit from Jawan Johnson. So much for the he can't recruit narrative, right?
How about that, huh? How about that?
Man, I'm going to tell you something. Okay. Orgeron recruited at a very high level.
Not like this. Not like this.
Well, here's the difference. Go back and look at Ed's last two classes. They wind up being horrendous. Okay. Nobody's here. Top end guys flaked out.
Yeah, and look, we have no idea. Recruiting is just like the NFL draft, right? The success of the class is only based on the production, the future production of the players, right? Like we can go back draft after draft and look at busts or people who didn't perform and that class is bad. I just do not see Brian Kelly's getting in a lot of homes that LSU maybe would have just gotten a knock on the door and not an invitation in. And I'm not talking about just in Louisiana because that's a given. Every kid from every corner, every small town in Louisiana, LSU is number one on their list, even if they don't get recruited by them. You know, like it'll be LSU and then Dillard. I don't even know if Dillard in New Orleans has football.
No.
Like that's how it is. Okay. But I'm talking about nationally, just looking at everything, Brian Kelly is getting some invites into some homes that haven't seen in a while.
I agree. Matt Trent, WBRZ, my bestie. You and Carter, both of you on the same day. Cheers, buddy. All right, it's Matt Trent, WBRZ. All right, that does it for us tonight. Producer Zach, you've been great. Just not great enough. You're like the LSU bullpen of the show. It's just a joke. See you tomorrow, guys. Peace.